You know the feeling when you lose your phone and you think to yourself, what am I going to do? My whole life was in there. Well, today I want to talk to you about the parts of your life that don't fit into a device. I want to share with you 3 practical, affordable ways that you can take back some of that control from your device. We live in 2 worlds, the digital and the analog. In this analogy, the digital world is the infinite world inside your device, and the analog world is the world immediately around you, the world you experience with your senses and inside you. And we're switching between those 2 worlds all day, constantly. Neil Postman once said that every new technology changes our relationship to reality. Well, in the era where we have our mobile device physically attached to us, we're switching between realities in an instant, in an hour, all day. I'm not here to bash digital technology. I make my living teaching online. It would be hard for me to throw my phone away. But I also want to point out that digital technology enriches our life in so many ways. Think about it. You can do things on the cheapest smartphone that the richest, most powerful people in the world couldn't do not so many years ago. We gain so much from digital technology, and we lose so much. We exchange so much. The idea that there's always something more interesting, more important, more pertinent on your device than what's around you has effects on us. Digital technology affects our sense of self. It affects the way we communicate with others. If we're not careful, we lose things like patience, self-efficacy, joy, peace of mind, clarity. Those things count for a lot too. The pull, the promise, the stimulation that we feel from our device can drown out the world around us. And I struggle with this, like many of you. And I especially struggled with this during the pandemic. My daughter was born in March of 2020, which was the first week of the COVID shutdown in California. And now all my work's online. And I'm having a harder time than ever with being overwhelmed by my device. So wanting to be a good example to her, I reached in my pocket, not for a phone, but for a pen. Writing's always been there for me. And I walked to the grocery store, and with physical change I had lying around the house, I bought a notebook, and I started writing. I knew what I was looking for, I could only find writing by hand. Undistracted, unbroken, undivided analog writing. And I started writing down these ideas about digital and analog living and trying to come up with ways to live better with my device and without it. I came up with a bunch of ways. Maybe you have some too. I want to share 3 of mine with you. Let's get started. So the first way that you can take back some of that control, fight back against the irresistible pull of your device is, you know those empty moments when you're not really doing anything? You're maybe waiting for an elevator or you're waiting in line at the store, whatever it is. And what's the first thing we often do in those moments? We pull out our phone. Try this instead. In those spare moments when you would reach for your device, instead, think a positive thought. Take that moment to reflect. Instead of scrolling through sports scores, imagine a play happening on the field. Instead of scrolling through pictures of outfits, in your mind, plan tomorrow's outfit or remember one that you saw that you liked. Maybe take that moment to think about a loved one that you miss or somebody that was in your life who's passed away. Take that spare moment to pray or meditate, reflect. Because those empty moments are where a lot of our character is formed. Those empty moments are where a lot of our personality comes from. Those empty moments are where a lot of our self-efficacy comes from. And that simple act of thinking a positive thought rather than reaching for your device gets you back in touch with the free and interesting and meaningful world inside you. Get you back in touch with your feelings and thoughts and experiences that you have to process. You're making time for your thoughts rather than letting your device think for you. Now, the second challenge activity is a little more challenging, but I know you can do it. Not every day, but as needed. Take an hour and look at one thing for that hour. Stare at that one thing for an hour. You can go to a park, a public place. You could look out a window. You could look at a painting, a photograph. I think it works better outside for me. But whatever it is, look at that one thing for an hour. An hour? For those of us who struggle with patience, this is not going to be easy. But I promise you, if you look at a tree for an hour, for the rest of your life, you're going to feel connected to that tree. And every time you look at it, you'll never see it the same as before. What you're doing here is you're slowing down the blur. You're slowing down the on-off digital world. Sometimes I don't have an hour. I'll take 10 minutes. I've had good times staring at the dumpster outside my apartment, and I see the geese come back, the first sign of spring. I'm resting my eyes on what's in front of me instead of closing my eyes or looking at my screen. The beauty around you can only compete with your device if you take the time to notice it. Now, the third challenge, the third activity, analog activity, find a friend, a partner, and agree to have a 2 or 3 hour long face-to-face conversation with no phones. You agree ahead of time, you're only going to use your phones for an emergency, a real emergency. Otherwise than that, if you can't remember something, you don't get to look it up. You guess, you collaborate. If you're talking about somewhere you went, you don't get to show a picture, you describe it. I used to have conversations like this all the time when I was younger. I would go over to my friend Jay's house on a Monday night after wrestling. We would sit on his stairs and we would talk for hours. No phones interrupted. We never ran out of stuff to talk about. Those conversations didn't really end. They just kind of continued the next time. What would that cost now for many of us to take 2 or 3 hours to turn everything off and just give your attention to one other person? What a gift you're giving yourself and that other person by creating that conversational bonfire. And there's no record of it afterwards. There's no picture taken together. There's no proof of it. But the memory and the good feeling lives on inside you afterwards. These 3 activities, taking spare moments to reflect instead of turning to your device, taking time to stare at what's around, taking the spare moments to reflect rather than look at your device connects you with yourself. Taking time to stare at what's around you connects you with your environment, and having a face-to-face lengthy conversation with someone connects you with another person. Your phone's not the only way to connect. I talked with you in the beginning about that feeling of losing your phone. Nobody likes losing their phone. But your phone's more easily replaced than your sense of self. It's more easily replaced than your ability to communicate with others. It's more easily replaced than your soul. How would your life be different if you lived more analog? What miracles in the spirit would you discover and share with the world? The digital world is essentially infinite. But here, in the analog world, we don't have an infinite amount of time or anything else. Lao Tzu, writing decidedly before the mobile phone, said, "Those with less become content, those with more become confused." Now, I can't speak for anybody other than myself, but if I were to look to see my life so far flash before my eyes, and I remember the best, deepest felt moments, like driving up to New Hampshire with my mother and father, and hanging out with my brother on days with nice weather, or playing in the park with my wife and my daughter, wandering these streets of Boston by myself and hearing the music all around me, not a lot of them would be me looking at my device. The digital world has its advantages, that's why we're in it. But the analog world has its advantages too. Those advantages could be the accident that never happens because the road had your full attention when you were driving. The advantages could be the relationship that you start or renew through face-to-face conversation. Those advantages could be the things you discover about yourself by reflecting. Digital technology is not going anywhere. Our devices are not going away. But for many younger folks, living analog would be something new. They've only lived in the digital world. So trying this out and trying to live more analog would be bringing a new energy into the world, not going backwards but going forwards, not something old but something new. This is not about the good old days. This is about giving your life more attention than your device. This is the earliest it will ever be. There's no time better than now.